Okay, today we have a question, and it's a good question. Um, and thanks for saying that you like the channel. That's very nice. Share it with your friends. Use these discussions and use these interactions as a way to interact with your friends. Explore. Is my opinion something that you guys support? Is it something that you have differences with? Explore those differences and explore those things that you support so that you can really clarify your acting for you. And it will actually really help you out. It really, really actually will. It's very interesting how doing that work will actually work. So the question today is, what is a 3-moment game? What is the 3-moment game? Now look, the 3-moment game is 3 moments. So there's a provocative. The first moment is asking a provocative question, something that's provoking, something that's actually stimulating. When we use the word provoking, we're not trying to be able to tease the other actor into getting a response necessarily, although that can sometimes happen. You could choose to do things that are shocking, but you don't always have to. Look, you could work to be able, you basically start out with a 3-word game that you're looking at the 3-moment game here. And you're looking at being able to actually be able to work to be able to do one thing, which is ask something that's a meaningful, possibly provocative question. Or hi, now listen, could you please just help me out? I need really, really good acting questions so I can help you out. So if you can write down in the comment section, each comment a separate question, write down an acting question. This would really help to be able to have people learn acting. Comment in form of a question. Then the second moment is that the person repeats you. So they listen to you and then they repeat you. And then the third moment is you taking the time to process. Taking a moment, if it just takes a moment, if you need to take longer, then take a little longer. And what you do is then you really pin down, you determine what that actually meant to that person. So let's say you say to them, they have their pants down. It's not true. Their reaction is, do you have your pants down? What the heck are you talking about? So what your third moment is, you tell the reaction. The third moment is they don't know what I'm talking about, or they're reacting like they don't know where I would have come up with that kind of question. So I will take the time to make a 3 list here and that will be fun to do. It should be interesting. And the thing is you could focus, you could choose to focus on just having this 3 moment game that where you're just trying to get provocative reactions. You could do it this way, but you could also explore in many different ways. You could say, it was too bad to know that your father had died, or that your mother had passed away. And their job on the second moment is not just to blindly repeat. This isn't a thing where you want to put a whole bunch of walls up and try and say, well, they're asking a question. There's this whole thing where you're blocking the person off. If you're the person being asked the question, you want to receive the question. You want to be able to receive the question. And now your test in this work, in this element, is to be able to honestly receive it, have the reaction that you have, and then vomit it back out. It's like a springboard, but you really take it in. You really take it in. my father died. My mother died. What? I mean, this could be something that really affects you. It could be something that surprises you. You could wonder where the person could have gotten the idea from. That's all absolutely concrete. It works. Then the third moment would be the person telling the reaction that you had to that moment. So, this is typically what the 3-moment game actually is. Now, let me tell you how to use it a few other ways. Now, let's say you're, kind of figuring out what has meaning, what doesn't have meaning in acting, right? This is part of the process of a beginning acting class type scenario where you're trying to figure out, there's a new acting partner, don't know what means anything to him or not or her, and let's try some things out, right? So you take that approach and you just try some things out. And now you work to be able to do this. Now let's say you start with like they did back in New York City, back in the day, way back in the day. They used to always start the word game. Now, just to give you a small piece of history, the word game was the original name for what's now called repetition. And some people call it moment to moment, and then other people say moment to moment is the moment to moment within the work, right? And that's considered moment to moment work, is when you're working within acting. And there's a few variances, but that's the generality. So you're basically, you could start it like the old repetition used to be, where it was called the word game. And you could start the 3-moment game stating that the person has green hair. Now, hi. Now listen, could you please just help me out? I need really, really good acting questions so I can help you out. The person could respond any way to that, right? There's no rules to this. But if they take it in and they really process it, they have green hair, maybe something unique will come from them. And this was the way, that was the absolute classic way that Sanford Meisner used to teach the word game, which is now known as repetition. So that should be interesting for you. So you could definitely start this 3-moment game the same way that they used to start the repetition game. Now I've just given you a hint. What you can do with the 3-moment game is, let's say that the person has a good reaction, something healthy. When I say healthy, I mean something that's maybe it's really overly reactive, but it's definitely something that comes from here, something that comes from their chest. Maybe you say something to them and it really hits their gut, and you get that gut reaction in them, and you see that gut reaction, then that's a good one. And then that's something where instead of saying how they feel about it, or you could say how they feel about it, and then what could happen is the person could realize that they've started off, one of you can start to repeat. So basically you can jump into the repetition because you've got something that's actually concrete, something that's actually woken something up. See, we do all kinds of things in acting, all kinds, and I'm doing all kinds of things with people on this channel with emotion and with emotional preparation, and I'm literally teaching emotional preparation. And join me, I think it's Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 p.m. and to do the questions and answers and emotional preparations. And I will send you a code, and then you can get onto the live feed with me, and you can be live video. And you can ask a question, and we can work on an emotional preparation together. And I'm telling you, I don't, even people that don't know acting, I can help them do emotional preparation. It's very, very interesting. I love this stuff. It's very interesting to me. So you take yourselves and you put yourselves in a point where you do the 3-moment game. And then when you get to the point where you've done a dozen or two of them, and you're figuring this out and you've got something and there's a lot of reactions and there's a lot of responses and you're starting to get accurate with what you're doing to observe. So both of you are observing each other. You take turns. One person does the question, and then later on the other person can do a few questions. And you go back and forth, so everybody has turns. And what you can do is then you can start to jump into repetition. Now, by doing the 3-moment repetition, or the 3-moment game, you can jump into the repetition game, and you will notice that you have this amplified living experience in real time. It's a real-time living experience. There's something different about it than if you just started the repetition. It could work for you. This could be a way to further stimulate. See, why I'm mentioning emotional preparation is because you may or may not be training with emotional preparation yet. But the reality is sometimes it doesn't take a lot for us to have our emotions hit. So when we're capable of working in a way where we have ourselves open enough and a person says something to us, and it's not like some low comment, it's just something that's genuine. So they say something genuine and all of a sudden something ricochets off of us and there's something that happens in us internally. Then you've got this springboard that you can actually work for your acting. So you can then do repetition. Now you could do repetition all sorts of ways. A lot of teachers have said very clearly that they could only do repetition repeating 5 or 6 times. You can only do repetition doing it for 5 or 6 or 10 times. Look, if you're deepening your acting experience, of course you can keep repeating. You probably don't want to be repeating for more than maybe 5 minutes without starting over, but I have absolutely seen, witnessed, participated in, very experienced, and people that were very, 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 very close to Sanford Meisner, which one day I'll have to go into. But I can tell you, they have absolutely attested to me that the repetition game, or the word game as they had it, it was sometimes it would go on for 15 minutes, and it would be enthralling, and it would be just like an acting exercise. It would be that in depth, and it wasn't something where people were just repeating. And I have to be very clear about this. I also know that later on in Sanford Meisner's career, he got very upset with people only thinking that the acting was repetition. So although you're doing a very exciting and enthralling exercise to be able to work with, including the 3 moments game, it's not the entire picture of acting. But it is definitely something that can start to work some of these acting muscles out. So take that for food for thought. Boop the like button if you would. They call it booping the like button sometimes. Some people do. So, and help me out by asking me some more good questions. This was a good question. You really want to be able to do something that actually spawns some kind of emotional element. And let me say this very, very quickly. It's very important to understand that there is a difference between feelings and emotions. Now look, feelings are often very, very come and go. They're very inclinations. They're like instincts. Sometimes the instincts are fleeting. Sometimes they're solid. It just depends. If it's a deep feeling, then you've hit something deeper in the person. And that's something that's amazing. That's something that will really help you to be able to realize. And what you can do is when you can accurately tell and you can accurately observe and pinpoint that behavior in the other person, which is part of the point of the 3-moment game, wow, then you can really start to really help your acting. And you can do the 3-moment game in between doing scenes so that you can be more accurate with your partner. You can do the 3-moment game practice in before classes. You could do the 3-moment game. I mean, see, sometimes here's the thing. Later on in the work, you get to do the work where you do emotional preparation. And the people that know what they're really doing with emotional preparation, they start showing up to class and they've got this sorrow about them. Or there's like all of a sudden one day that they're very exuberant. Why? Because they've been working on their emotional preparation. So at that point, sometimes working on a 3-moment game isn't really exactly conducive to them, because what they're doing is they're working right now to be with emotional preparation to be able to put that emotion into their scene. But that being said, sometimes it's a great thing. So it really depends on the people that you're working with. So feel free to use these in various different ways. Understand that these are absolutely elements that can work for acting to help your spontaneity and your liveliness and your all sorts of things.